Hey guys, so welcome back. Back onto another lesson today. Today we are going over beginner parts, okay, for a guitar. But before we go into that and what the lesson will be about, as always, I'm gonna say give me a cheeky like and a cheeky subscribe. Obviously, leave us down here. Could be down this side, you know, one or the other. And then if you're not over on the Facebook page, why not? We're doing a giveaway over there at the moment. I'm giving away a Squire Bullet Telecaster. So it's not all about YouTube. Pop over to Facebook at Fat Bloke Does Guitar and then have a cheeky like of the page. Find the competition, enter. You never know, could win yourself a nice new guitar. Not a bad way to start. But for today's lesson, we will be going over the basics. Okay, what makes up these things? You know what they consist of. The parts you should be most focused on, and we'll also look at basic finger stretching exercise just to get you, sort of moving and then able to play different notes up and down the guitar. And we will also go over 3 basic open chords, so G, C, and D, which are all chords that a beginner should be learning. They will open up a world of songs to you. And they will help you progress onto more difficult things as we go along. So let's get tuned up and let's get going. Okay, so let's go over some of the basics of what a guitar is, what it's made up of, and what you can do in order to get going, get yourself warmed up, and crack on with playing one of these things. So I think one of the key things to know is the various parts of your guitar. And obviously there are parts that you're all going to know, such as your fretboard up and down here, the headstock up here, this whole section, your tuners for each string, and then down onto the main body. Now this is made up differently dependent on the guitar, obviously, but basically they all comprise the same sort of thing. You'll have your pickups along here. Some are made up of 5. The Telecasters are made up of sort of 1s, 2s. Mine here has 2 main pickups, as you can see. You've also got the bridge, where your strings come across here. Okay, and then for the most part, most guitars will have a volume knob, which you can obviously turn up and down to get your tones, which is here on mine. And you will also have a pickup selector, which up here is on mine. Now, dependent on the position of your pickup selector, depends where the tone is being picked up on your pickups, obviously. So right now, on my rhythm here, which means I'm picking up here, okay? That's on the bridge pickup. If I flick it to the middle, which you can see there, I'm now effectively getting the tone from both pickups here. And if I push it once more, I'm now getting the neck pickup. Certain guitars will have a more complex pickup system. Things like Stratocasters, for example, you can have a combination, I believe it's of around 5 or 6 different pickups and a different combination of those. And then you'll get some where, you have simple 2 pickup selector, 3 like mine, and so on. It's worth experimenting with the instrument you've got to try and find a tone that you like. So have a fiddle with that part. You'll get a warmer tone, a cleaner tone, or something a bit more, sort of grungy and dirty, which is what I tend to play a lot more of. But a good fiddle around with that will get you, the tone that you like and the tone that you're used to. And then obviously down the bottom, you will also more than likely have a tone, sort of a tone knob, which will again edit between your warmer, cleaner tones and so on. Obviously on mine, I've got quite a few, as you can see, while there are others that either don't have any and just have a volume knob. Maybe there's one with a volume knob and just 1 tone knob. It, again, really depends on the make and model that you have. But again, a bit of a fiddle about, a bit of a play around, which is what this is all about, to develop your own unique tone, which is the whole point at the end of the day as to why we're doing this. Moving around as well, let's not forget where your jacking point is as well. Again, different parts for different guitars. Mine is obviously on the body here. With Strats, you'll have them somewhere around here. There's a little jacking point on them. But again, that plugs in one end into your guitar, one end into your amp. and that is, you know, your basic sort of parts of your guitar that you'll be using. But the part that you'll really want to be focusing on is your frets, I should imagine. Now, I was asked what a fret is by somebody who is, you know, a complete beginner, doesn't really know the parts of a guitar. So your fretboard is pretty much the neck here, okay? And it comprises 22, sometimes 21 different frets, depending on the guitar. Now, a fret, for the most part, is these little metal bars that you see across here, okay? And they go up, as you can see, all the way down the neck, okay? That is your fret, okay? But probably the easiest way to think of it is the box itself, okay? This whole area here would be one fret. It's probably the simplest way to get it into your head rather than trying to focus on just that little thin piece of metal, okay? And they go from 1 to 22, and that's from obviously your nut up here where your strings go across, okay? So from 1 all the way up on mine down to 22. So when you're playing, or when I'm playing along and you're following along with me, I will tend to call out, you know, fret number 3, fret number 4, fret number 5, and then the strings from there. Now, with that, if we're saying, you know, fret 1, that would be this box here. It's the easiest way to put it. Fret 2, this box here. Fret 3, which is usually marked. As you can see, I've got the nice big dirty thing, but you will also have, if you look on the side of my neck, a set of dots along the neck, okay? Fret 3, fret 5 has it, fret 7, fret 9, and then for the most part, again, with guitars, fret 12, which is considered to be, you know, the middle of the neck, will have 2 dots along the top and sometimes along the fretboard itself, okay? You do get guitars that are fretless. If you can play one of those, brilliant. You'll also get guitars with no markings. So you'll have to sort of rely on your own knowledge in order to get, you know, a good, clear idea of where your frets are. But if yours is like mine and is marked up, it does become simpler to sort of figure out where on the fretboard certain frets are. So as I was saying, you've got fret 1, 2, 3 is marked with a nice big dot, with a nice big sort of pearl inlay on mine here. Fret 5 is marked, 7, 9, 12, and then 15 and down from there. Okay, and then you have your strings. Now, with the way the strings work on a guitar, they aren't labelled as you'd probably think. So string 1 isn't, you know, your lowest string up here. String 1 is your highest, thinnest string down here, and then they go up from there. Okay, string 2, string 3, 4, 5, and 6 on most guitars. Okay. So when we're talking and playing different songs, you'll hear myself or other teachers tell you to put your finger on fret, let's say fret 2 and string number 1. So you'll then know, okay, string 1, I need to be down here, and fret 2 is this one here. So I'm covering that. Okay. Or if I was to say to you, you know, string number 6, fret number 5, string 6, okay, that's my lowest one. On fret 5, which is clearly marked for me here, lovely, I'll be putting my finger down there. And that's how it works up and down the board. You can go into learning the chords as well, which we will go over in a later lesson, some basic open chords and trickier ones such as bar chords. But I prefer to teach it as what they call tabs, so numbers and your strings, which are, for me, easier. I personally am not the greatest at reading music. I'm not the greatest at remembering my chords either, if I'm honest. And yet, if you put a tab in front of me and it says, you know, I need to put my fingers on string 4 on the 7th fret, I know where I'm going with that. It's the same way you work with a basic open chord as well. I can do it, you know, based off of a tab, and yet, if I was to read it, if I hadn't learned it as tablature, it would be something completely different for me, and I just wouldn't get it. So my lessons will be focused more along the tab way of doing things. So number of strings and the number of frets, as opposed to me saying, you know, a G sharp chord, a D, a C, and so on, F sharp minor, and all this. which is, you know, when you're trying to get a grasp on this instrument, it blows your mind a bit, and it's just easy to do it as numbers, or at least it is for me. Maybe different for yourself, but hopefully you can follow along with me on that one. Now, as far as playing a guitar goes, you don't want to be using the pads of your fingers, okay? Not for the most part, unless you're playing, you know, power chords and so on and so forth. But when you're playing chords and single notes, for the most part, what we're trying to aim for is the very tip of our finger here, okay, on each string. Okay, it helps you pick out the notes more. You're not sort of covering or muting strings where you shouldn't be. So, I mean, if I'm playing, for example, if I was to be hitting, here you go, the 2nd fret on the 5th string, if I do that, because I've got the main point of my finger on there. Whereas if I'm covering sort of with my pad, for example, I can start to pick out, you know, the string underneath, or I may be muting the upper string, because the point of my finger is now sort of touching that 6th string, whilst obviously on the 5th string, and I'm also covering that 4th string. So great, sounds lovely, but I'm not picking out that one note that we're looking for, okay? Which is really important when you're wanting to play chords. Okay, so always remember when you're picking out your strings and picking out your notes, to be trying to get the very point of your finger onto that string and not sort of covering it with your pad, as it were. In terms of exercises then, you need, you know, a good warm-up. What you're looking for, at least initially, is to stretch your fingers. Because as you're progressing through and learning to play different things, you're going to find yourself stretching across more and more of the fretboard in order to, you know, reach notes and be able to play things. If you look at my hands, for example, that's on my right. So, and that is me at full stretch on that side. I promise you, I am completely full stretch. And yet on this side, I can really get my fingers across and really pull them out. Purely because I've, you know, stretched across and learned over a period of time. So a good way to be sort of learning to stretch, at least initially, is to have your main 4 fingers, okay, these here, and just go along the first 4 of your frets. So your first finger on your first, let's say at the 6th string, just to keep things, you know, simple. Let's not go into the main meat of the neck at all. So first finger, 6th string, 1st fret, okay? Okay, and when you're picking out a note, try to make sure your finger is as close to that bar as possible. Mostly because, you know, that's where you get the note, and yet if I'm back here, near the back of the fret, see what I mean? You get that buzzing tone, which you know. Okay, so you always need to be as close to that fret as you can get, and that's how you pick the note out. Okay, but anyway, so back onto your stretching. First finger, 1st fret of the 6th string, and then try and get your 2nd finger, okay, across to the 2nd fret on the same string. Okay, and you will do the same with your 3rd. Okay, and then your 4th will come up here as well. You can also go sort of, you know, mix it up a bit if you want. Go 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay, just move your shape around. Get your fingers really sort of stretching. Okay, really stretch them out. And eventually what you're going to then find is, rather than, you know, you're stuck on sort of 2 frets, as it were, you're going to be able to stretch your fingers nicely and reach higher notes and get better sounds out of it. You're going to be able to, you're going to notice this, more in certain songs. I mean, AC/DC, for example, they do a lot of songs which will involve some serious sort of stretching in order to get where you want to be. So practice that. practice it across all the strings if you can as well. It's going to help you in the long run, especially when you start getting into scales, for example, which are, you know, the key to soloing, for example. And you will come across that at a later date. And I don't personally want to be overloading you on that one. So try to practice your stretches each day, because it's going to really help get your fingers stretched out and help you pick out those notes a bit better. To go along with those stretches, let's try and give you 3 basic open chords, shall we? Something we should all learn. 3 basic open chords: G, C, and D. Now, the G chord, which I'll give you, take note, okay? Get your pens out. The G chord, easiest way to play it on open. There are a couple of ways of playing it, but we'll go for the G major, which is how everyone should really learn to play a G. So on that, get your first finger, okay? 2nd fret, 5th string, okay? So locate your fret, where it is, okay? 1 to 22, 2nd here. And on your 5th string, okay? Sorry, that would help from hitting the right string, wouldn't it? Okay. Your middle finger will be on the 6th string, 3rd fret, okay? Okay, hold them there. Your ring finger down on the 2nd string of the 3rd fret as well. You see how I'm forming it here? Okay. Okay. And also your pinky, again 3rd fret, but on the 1st string. And then when you're playing it, okay, and that is your basic open G chord. Okay, you can take your pinky off. Okay, but for the most part, it's as I've just aligned it, and you want to be strumming all 6 strings. Okay. Okay, and that is your basic G chord. Now the C chord, okay, which can be a pain to transition. All right, it's a lot of practice to go from G to C to D. Some people can nab it very quickly. Some it takes a bit longer. Personally, it took me a while to go from G to C to D in a decent amount of time, shall we say, rather than sort of having to think about it. But your C chord, okay, is your ring finger, and it's your 5th string on the 3rd fret. See that there? Okay. And then it's your middle finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Okay. And then your 1st finger comes down to the 2nd string, all right, on the 1st fret. Okay. And that is your basic C chord there. And then we finally go into a D chord, which is probably the easiest to form. If you even want to start with a D and then move through your G and your C, you probably might find it a bit easier. But your D chord is your 1st finger, okay, 2nd fret, again, all right, on the 3rd string. So we are now, you see my finger there, okay. And then we want the middle finger, which you can see I've got some damage on at the moment, but anyway, middle finger on the 1st string, again, 2nd fret, okay, so you're forming this sort of shape. And then finally, your ring finger, sorry, onto the 2nd string of the 3rd fret. And you want to be strumming your highest 4 strings, shall we say. So string 1, 2, 3, and 4. And strum down, okay? And that is your basic open D chord. D, G, C. Those are 3 chords that any beginner should be learning. A lot of great songs are made up of just those 3 chords, okay? A lot of AC/DC is played across G, C, and D. So try and get those down. Practice them along with your stretches each day. You will soon find over the course of few weeks, it could be a month, okay? You're gonna start to notice you're picking these up. When you're first starting to pick up chords, you know, you're gonna be finding yourself looking and sort of what they call, you know, falling down onto each string, okay? So you're gonna be thinking in your head, all right, okay, so I need my G, so I need to be having my middle finger here and then the first one there. And it's not gonna form naturally, all right? It's gonna take you a while to just be able to pop your fingers into position, okay? Like I'm doing now. But that's fine. Go at your own pace. Guitar isn't about going at speed, which is what I initially thought when I was 12 years old and I picked one of these up and thought I was God. I am clearly not a god unless it's Buddha. I mean, look at this. Jesus. So, yeah, take as much time as you need to, you know, stretch your fingers, learn those basic open chords. Once you've got those, you're then going to start to progress into more difficult things, which is what you really want to be doing, I know, but get the basics first. Learn the parts of your guitar. Learn the different tunings, okay? Learn those open chords. And then before you know it, you're going to be going, oh, well, I can suddenly play, you know, You Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC, which is made up of, you know, a G, C and a D chord. It's going to be great. You're going to be picking that out in no time at all. And once you've got your handle on that, you're going to be moving into more difficult stuff. You can, you know, move into your power chords. You can start to move into your pentatonic scale, your soloing, and so on. Your fingers will be stretched out so you can move yourself up and down the board. But we'll go over different things. But for now, please just get a grasp on those basic parts, okay? Trust me, it's going to go well. You're going to get there. Once you've got those, we'll move on to something different, okay? Please, as always, because we all know I love to plug myself, give me a cheeky like and subscribe. Obviously, I've got more lessons coming. I've got some great ones planned. If you're not on the Facebook page, why not? Get yourself over there. We're currently giving away a Squire Bullet Telecaster. Yeah, see, suddenly YouTube might be great, but the Facebook page is the place to be if you want to get yourself some cheeky gear, which we're giving away at the moment. So have a pop over there at Fat Bloke Does Guitar, and then I will come back a different time with a different lesson for you. In the meantime, practice that stretching, practice those open chords, and let's go next time and see where we go from there.